let's talk about coding because that is actually remarkably fun. So yeah, the controller I was starting with, let me find what I put it. Ernie's here. Oh, Ernie is here. Let me follow Ernie's wires to the controller. There we go. This one's called a Pixelblaze, and it's a neat little controller. And of course, the wires I so hastily like slapped together just came out. But basically, it is actually surprisingly easy to use. You have to solder on this connector. It doesn't come soldered on, but it's just literally 4 pins, and it has screw terminals for what you have to do is snip the wires. I actually, for these blobs, because I like to change the connectors, soldered on what's a standard 3-pin LED connector. The trick you have to be careful for when you actually if you do cut the wires and add a different connector, is that unlike most LED strings, the middle string is the middle wire is neutral, is ground.
The middle wire is.
Yeah, the middle wire is ground. Yes, exactly right. Yeah, it's
different.
And you can identify the 5-volt wire because it's copper colored. The other two are silver colored. There's a copper colored 5-volt wire. The middle wire is neutral, is ground, and then the remaining wire is.
And that's on the LEDs or on the USB controller side of the wires. It's not on the strands itself.
No, it's on the. It is the strand. If you're looking at the strand, the middle wire all down the strand is the
colored. Sorry, the color coding.
Oh! I see what you're saying. Yeah. I guess you're right. You're correct. There's no difference. Okay. You can't tell. Yeah, that is
right.
Correct.
So yeah, so the copper color is in this part of it.
Yes. Yeah, it's only on you are correct, the controller wire. But that's where you want to splice. You don't. That's the best place to splice it anyhow. But yes.
Right.
All right. So one thing about, and again, if you're new to like powering electronics, LEDs pull a fairly high amount of current. So if you have LEDs running off a microcontroller, you're really better off having a separate power source for the LEDs, or not running all of your power through your microcontroller, because most microcontrollers weren't made to power something really power intensive. So
they can power a few LEDs, but not like a string of 100.
So the way so the Pixelblaze comes with an input. You could actually plug in a 5-volt input and if you wanted to output the wires, but that runs a heck of a lot of current through the Pixelblaze and they don't recommend it. So the way I've done it is not very prettily. I've got this 5-volt cable that terminates in this little screw terminal. I've got a wire for ground and a wire for 5 volts. And so I take 5 volts directly into the screw terminal. So part of it powers the Pixelblaze, and then there's another wire to power the LED, another wire that sends the power to the LEDs. So it doesn't actually go through the Pixelblaze controller to power the LEDs. So I think I've screwed those wires back into the hold.
Power for the LEDs.
Separate power for LEDs. So now if I plug plug Ernie into the Pixelblaze, plug the Pixelblaze into power. Now I've already configured this, but it's pretty easy to configure. If I turn it on, and let's get my Keepa out of the way here. So, okay, Ernie starts to show a program, but what's really cool is the way you control this LED pattern program. Like Ernie, here, look at the camera, Ernie. So I'm gonna, let me pull up the Pixelblaze window and do a share.
Yeah, we can put that on.
Let me, hang on, let me find the right window. There it is. It's actually an amazingly cool program that I've just lost the window for. There we are. There we are. Okay. Let me get it bigger and share. Okay, there it is. So it's run through it's controlled through the computer. So hopefully we'll be able to see the blob. Can we do it so we see the, so we can see the Ernie and the Pixelblaze. So this is actually really an amazingly cool interface. It's a little hard to read the lettering probably, but it comes with a bunch of patterns built in, and you access this over Wi-Fi. And you can actually, you configure it when you get it. It starts up an access point and you tell it how to connect your Wi-Fi, and you tell it how many LEDs you have. Like this, I told it my blob has 200 LEDs and they're GRB. I think they're, oh, by the way, if you're new to LEDs, different strands have different color orders. Yeah.
Yep. So the message packet, and this is like, there's a reason that this has mail analogies. It is like sending a message to something else, right? Like, so it's bundled in little packets, and the packet has an order, because inside each of these LEDs, there are actually 3 LEDs. There's a red LED, a green LED, and a blue LED. And depending upon how bright each of those ones is and in relation to the others, that's what makes the colors change, is the mixing of the red, green, and the blue light.
Oh, and there's some really fun science. I got distracted by Jason's comment, which I won't mention in a minute. And
Got our first casualty.
That's when your zip ties are too small, or too big rather. But oh no, now I've completely derailed. Something about red, green. Oh yeah, so there's a whole bunch of really fascinating science about color mixing of light, because we're all used to mixing paint colors, and light colors mix in the opposite way. And I love this, and I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole because that's a whole other thing. But it's really kind of interesting. So you tell it the color order, and what's really cool is there's this mapper here, and you can actually so it will actually, you could tell it what configuration. You write a little bit of your configuration your LEDs are in, and it will actually kind of assume they're in a certain position in 3D space and actually run the program to, some programs actually will, some patterns are 3D patterns, some patterns are 2D patterns. And if that's the case, it will run them in the appropriate configuration. Now, I have not put in, so you could very easily do that for your nicely ordered, tidy blob. It's a little harder for mine, but I can approximate, and I haven't done that yet. But you could do like a cube, for example, if I load that, and you can see, and it's this wonderful display. So I'm going to approximate, you know what, we're going to approximate my blob as a cube and see how that affects the patterns. We'll see if we can affect a lot of that. So let's save that. We're going to, okay, so we have a 200.
Can you do a cylinder shape?
I don't think that's one of the built. Yes, you can. I can't, I'm not savvy enough. Coding in front of people is not my forte. So I can't, we're going to approximate the blob as a cube and go back to patterns. Cool. And then
good enough for the engineer and me.
Yeah. So
we're going, pi is 3. We're going to approximate this shape as a cube.
Oh, but here's what's interesting. So I've got the color order wrong. You can tell because I've selected this pattern that's supposed to be red, 1D, 2D.
Oh,
and you can see my blob is green. So let's go fix that. We'll go back to settings, and instead of GRB, let's assume it's RGB, or probably RGB. And save.
Nice.
Oh yeah, no, I fixed it. I didn't even have to save. Okay, so now.
Oh my God, I love how it starts at an I.
Oh, that's actually really funny. Yeah, that is a little weird.
Was that intentional or no?
Not in the slightest. No. But there's such great patterns. But here's like, and you just literally click to change the patterns, and it's super easy. And some of them you can change the brightness with this control. But some of these patterns have parameters that you can change. So for example, this tunnel of squares 2D, that one's not showing up here. Let's do a different one. Color fade pulse. Here, this one's like, you can actually, it doesn't have parameters though. Let's find one with parameters. Oh, I like the fire one. Let's see, does that have parameters? No, of course not. Let's see. There's some sound reactive ones. This board, you can buy a sensor board that will respond to different motion and sound and things like that, and make your blob sound reactive, which is a lot of fun too. If you can see the octahedron behind me is in sound reactive mode. It's running off a sound reactive Pixelblaze, and it's changing with my voice. So it's like, here, if you if I'm really loud and yell at it, it'll change accordingly. So oh, wait a second, am I doing no, I'm doing the blob here. So anyway, so what's nice about this is there's a lot of wonderful, really good built-in patterns. Let's try to find a 3D one. So let's see, here's a spotlight one. I don't know, that's supposed to, you can kind of see it moving in 3D space around the blob. I love that effect. Can you kind of see how that's
neat? And so this is a Pixelblaze, which is like a controller that's $35, I think.
Yeah.
And you have a separate source of power, a 5-volt power that's powering separately the Pixelblaze and the LED strip. And then the LED strip just has the one like command line coming from the one like, instruction line basically coming from the Pixelblaze.
The Pixelblaze takes care of a lot of math for you. And again, here's like a spotlight. Let me see another built-in Pulse 3D. So anyway, there's some really cool ones, but then you can start to customize them, and it's not so hard. Each of these patterns, and you can add more.
Oh, look at that sparkliness. I love it.
This is a really nice pattern for 3D.
Yeah.
But each of these patterns is written in JavaScript code, and you can start by just modifying it simply and seeing what changes it makes.
Oh,
so for example, like, let me find a simpler one. Let's go back that I'll know what I'm doing when I'm editing it. Let's go back.
Do you know what chip the Pixelblaze is using,
Debra? It's a ESP32, I think.
Okay.
It's very well supported. it's very well supported. There is a whole, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a whole community of people with a lot of postings. You ask questions and people answer, and people are always contributing new code. I'm a big fan.
Oh, mom is done. And I have to say that I am practically done too with mine. I have 2 LEDs left, which is the point at which I finish.
Oh, do you want to pull? Let me give me one more minute to wrap this up, and then
yeah. Keep doing that, and then we'll show that.
Okay, so here's the kit. I think this is one I actually modified because I was like, yeah, I think I was playing around with it because the kit program was like has a fixed color. Oh yeah, this one I changed it to evolve the different colors. So the original pattern had only one color, and then I modified it to kind of evolve the color over time. And it's really super simple to learn to edit it. Well, if you have it's if you've never coded before, it's a little harder, but there's a nice community around it, and people have definitely learned to code by doing so. So for example, here's a simple one. So I could just change the color here, HSV, like V equals pixel. All right, I'm saying it's easy now. Of course, I'm not. I'm like confused as to how I do it. But
pressure's on.
Yeah, I'm not good at coding in front of people, so I'm gonna bow out. But some of these you can. Let's see, color twinkle buns. Anyway, you can do such, and you can edit and create really cool. Again, 3D mapping. If you start to do things in 3D spaces, is generally really hard. And I've worked with 3D animations before. This makes it so much easier. I can't even go into the ways it does it, but it's done very cleverly. It creates a cube of 3D space, very easily mapped. And if it's the kind of thing you're interested in, I do strongly recommend it.